Okay, there we go. All right. We are alive. There we go. Cool. Um, all right. Put this I'm gonna charge real quick so I can have that on charging. That's important. Okay, there we go. Cool. All right. Make sure all the things are connected. So today is 10/18/2025. 10/18/2025. This is Bible study with KingCzol, which is me. I'm the host. And today we're going to talk about the two topics today we're going to talk about is disobedience and blessings. But the main one's going to be disobedience because we want to know, at the end of the day, what happens when you don't listen to what God wants you to do. Um, you know, this subject is kind of touchy just because, we all have our falling from grace moments, right? And with that being said, a lot of us, what I'm saying, have sinned before. So it becomes a situation where, what's too much? And even though God gives all grace, some people, get different, there's a different time, especially in the Bible, where there was a little less grace in certain aspects because people, some people had a little more closer connection. So it was like when they didn't do something right, they got punished a little more severely. And we're gonna talk about some of those things today. So let's see. The subject today for the Bible study. Let me see here. Get that one for you real quick. All right, there we go. All right, so Moses knocked twice on the rock. Knocking the rock twice. That's one. It's gonna be Numbers 20, 1 through 13. That's Numbers 20, chapter 20, verse 1 through 13. You want to follow me on that one? All right. So it says here, let's see. All right. Then the children of Israel, the whole congregation, came into the wilderness of Zin in the first month. And the people stayed in Kadesh, and Miriam died there and was buried there. Now there was no water for the congregation. So they gathered together against Moses and Aaron. And the people contended with Moses and spoke, saying, if we had died when our brethren died before the Lord, why have you brought up the assembly of the Lord into this wilderness? And that we and our animals should die here. And why have you made us come out of Egypt to bring us to this evil place? It is not a place of grain or figs or vines or pomegranates, nor is there any water to drink. So Moses and Aaron went from the presence of the assembly to the door of the tabernacle of meeting, and they fell on their faces, and the glory of the Lord appeared to them. Then the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, take the rod, you and your brother Aaron, gather the congregation together. Speak to the rock before their eyes, and it will yield its water. Thus you shall bring water for them out of the rock, and give drink to the congregation and their animals. All right. So Moses took the rod from before the Lord as he commanded him, and Moses and Aaron gathered the assembly together before the rock. And he said to them, hear now, you rebels, must we bring water for you out of this rock? Then Moses lifted his hand and struck the rock twice with his rod, and water came out abundantly, and the congregation and the animals drank. Then the Lord spoke to Moses and Aaron, because you did not believe me to hallow me in the eyes of the children of Israel, therefore you should not bring this assembly into the land which I have given them. This was the water of Meribah, because the children of Israel contended with the Lord, and he was hallowed among them. All right. So that is the chapter Numbers 20, 1 through 13. Okay. Now, if you follow me in that one right there, when God said to speak, he said to speak. Okay. And that was it. And the water would come out the rock. Oh, no problem, no problem. It's okay. This is business. It's live, but it's also syndicated, so it's okay. You know what I mean? It's here. But yeah, if you missed that part, if you didn't follow what I was saying, basically we're talking about the time, if you're familiar, when Moses was told to speak to the rock, and they were given water for the people and the animals that they came out of Egypt. And instead of just speaking to the rock, Moses struck the rock twice. And then water came from the rock. God still gave him the water, but because he did that, and he didn't listen to what God told him to do, he was punished. He was able to go into the promised land like Aaron did. Instead, Aaron had to take him into the promised land. Are you familiar with that story? Oh, you there? Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. I was asking if you were familiar with that story.
No.
Oh, okay. So, well, this story is about Moses and Aaron. You know who Moses is, right?
Oh, wait. I'm familiar with the story of Moses and Aaron.
Okay.
Let my people go. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Okay. Now, now, you know, the thing about it is you know, with Moses specifically, God told him to speak to the rock. Okay, so when God tell you to do something, he wants you to do that. You know what I'm saying? If whatever he tells you to do, he wants you to do it. Um, and not to get too into that, but I had my own moment one time, not too long ago, where God told me to do something, and I didn't hesitate because I heard about these stories before, because I read the Bible as well. A little backstory on me, whatever. I read the Bible before, I studied it, but I wasn't living the correct life, right? And it wasn't until recently when he literally came to me, and was like, came to me, and that changed my life forever. And that was he came to me twice actually. The first time, I was somewhere, and then after that I went home, and he came to me again, and then he, you know, at that point, told me to go and see somebody and tell them something. It was actually a pastor evangelist from Buffalo, and I knew him, but I didn't know of him. I didn't know nothing about this guy, and um, I knew just basically I seen him a couple times around, briefly here and there, out and about. And I think one time, I think because he also did a brake, so he did my nephew's brakes for their car. But other than that, I really didn't know him. I didn't have any personal relationship with him. And but God told me to go and see him and tell him something. And when I did that and gave him the message for him, come to find out that he was practicing. He was already at the time he just got his church and just became a pastor or was it evangelical? What did I say? Evangelist. He just became that. So he just got his building and church and everything, and just got his congregations going, literally. And I went to see him, and when I seen him, I thought that because I'm like, hey, I need to talk to you, and I didn't know his number. I hit him up on Facebook. So that's how, if you call somebody through Facebook, you don't have any number. You know what I mean? So I call him through Facebook. I'm like, he's on my page, but I didn't, like I said, I didn't have any like really dialogue with him. And I went on Facebook and I contacted him, but he didn't hit me back fast enough. So I'm like, you know what? I gotta tell him what God told me to tell him. I ain't gonna wait around too long. So I'm gonna call him through Facebook. So I called him through Facebook. He picked up pretty fast. It was a holiday, 4th of July to be exact. And because I was home for the holiday. And when I talked to him, I said, hey, I need to tell you something. Is a way I could talk to you in person. And then he was like, yeah, you know what? Tomorrow I'm doing a baptism. And I'm like, okay, cool. So tomorrow was Saturday because 4th of July was on Friday this year. So it was on Saturday, which is July 5th. And I'm like, okay, cool. I'll go and see him. Now, the things that God told me already, I kind of like was like, okay, cool. He gave me this and information and blah, blah, blah. And some of the things he gave me, the name he gave me was in Hebrew. So I'm like, okay, connection there. And he told me to see this guy and tell him who he was as far as in his family origin. So I was going to tell him basically that he was an Israelite, right? That's what I was told to tell him, and from the tribe of Levi. But when I go and see him, I'm thinking like he's like the regular other pastors out here that all practice and worship on Sunday. So I'm like, okay, he gonna probably just have baptism today, probably do a little sermon and cool, and he'll sit. You know what I mean? That's what I'm thinking. But see, God be knowing stuff, and He knows exactly what He's doing. And basically, what He did when I got there the next day on July 5th, I go to see him, and tell him what I want to tell him. And he's like, "Well, you staying for church or you staying for service?" I'm like, "Okay, I'm just doing baptism today." He's like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do that too, but we have service today." And I'm like, "Service? I thought you don't have it tomorrow. You don't have a Sunday." He's like, "No, I follow the Sabbath." I'm like, "Wait a minute. You follow the Sabbath? So wait a minute, are you?" He was like, "Yeah, we go by the word of God." And I'm like, oh, you Seventh Day Adventist? He's like, nah. And I'm like, so I was like, God told me to go and see him, tell him this, that he was an Israelite from the tribe of Levi, blah blah. And I go there, and then I'm like, okay, so are you? And he like, yeah. And he like, I'm like, oh, so he like, yeah, I already know. And then we get to talking, and then so he has to get everything set up for the church. And after it was done, he did a sermon, which was on basically the Old Testament at that moment, Saul and David. And then after he did the whole Testament on Saul and David and everything, with that situation, he ended up. Now I told him, I said, what I told God told him to tell him. He says, I know, and you got a mission to do. How do you know my mission that to do? Because he had the mind of foresight, and he was able to see things as far as he knew what I was supposed to do, and he didn't even know. As I didn't get to tell him everything what happened before that or the other stuff. So he already knew I had a mission to do, and he didn't know if I had a mission to what I had to do, but he knew I had a mission to do. And that was the crazy part about it. Now the mission wasn't just talking to him. That's something. It has a whole other dish I have to do, but that has nothing to do with him. But what I told him was what I told him. And then he like, yeah, I already know. But then he gave his testimony of how he got to this point where he's at now. And, like I said, I feel like, and it's just me personally thinking, as far as what happened to me, as well as other people that I talked to lately, God's calling people home. God's calling people, not home as in like, but he's calling people he's gathering them up right now. That's what I feel. And I know that because he's showing me. He's gathering his people up. Okay, so he's gathering his people. I just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah, he's gathering them together. Yeah. So it's not like before, everybody was lost and stuff. Yeah, he's finding his children. Yeah, he's finding his children. So he found me and I was lost. Yeah, I was lost. I was in the clubs, I was partying, I was talking to this girl, that girl. I was doing a lot. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he came to me. So I'm forever grateful, and I'm gonna leave that there. But that's my testimony as far as and how I got to this point where I'm at now, where I'm even doing Bible study. And it's not, I'm not a preacher. I'm not, I'm not an evangelist. I'm not a clergyman at all. I'm a warrior. Okay, I'm a fighter. You know what I mean? Like, like David and people like that. You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, that's my role in life. That's what my role gonna be when the time comes. It's gonna be to be get my hands dirty. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, we fighting against them demons. So literally. So yeah, but I'm still gotta stay sharp with the word, and that's why I'm here to basically study the word with you guys and bring people in that maybe need to know the word or hear it and to talk about it, and we can talk about it and discuss it, and try to get as best clarity as possible from it, because it's 47,000 Christian denominations right now and counting in this world right now. And the Bible says, broad is the path of destruction. So we gotta narrow this down to the truth. And everybody ain't got the truth. And I'm not saying I got the truth. I'm just knowing that, at the end of the day, I'm a reader from the book. And what the book say is what it is. That's how I look at it. So let's go back to that. So that story right there about Moses and Aaron. It was about Moses' disobedience to not listen to what God told him to do. If he tells you to speak to the rock, he's not talking about knocking a rock twice or once. He said to speak to it. He didn't say strike the rock. He didn't say make a big scene. He said speak to it. When you pray, he ain't saying to jump around and holler up and down. Not saying people don't, but hey, he respected more if you probably going somewhere privately and pray. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, if you want to be heard, he wants you to be sincere about it, because he knows when you're not sincere. And yeah, that's just something I feel like is important to understanding how he is. And I read that's in the last I'm talking about how to pray. Jesus tells us how to pray, and if you want things, and therefore that's also my last episode 4. We talk about that. So but yeah, who's just joining us now? Who we talking? We got Trey online. Trey,
What
how
it
you doing,
is,
Trey?
gang?
What's going on, man?
Yeah.
Yeah, we in Bible
Just
study
getting
mode, man. Happy Sabbath to you. Um, yeah, so we talking about Moses and Aaron, man. Basically, I just read through Numbers chapter 20, verse 1 through 13, and we talked about the time when God told Moses to speak to the rock and for the water to come out after they were thirsty and the animals are thirsty. They needed water, and it was in the desert. And Moses, instead of just speaking to the rock, he decided to knock on the rock twice, to strike the rock twice with a stick, with a rod. And, God told him that because he did that, he didn't listen to what he said, he was being disobedient, that he wasn't going to the promised land, pretty much. You know what I'm saying? So Aaron had to take the people into the promised land, and Moses had to wait and stay behind. So that was what the whole gist of that chapter was about so far. Have you read that one, Trey?
A while ago, yeah.
Okay, cool. So that's pretty much what we was talking about. Anybody got any questions about that situation so far? Anything about what happened with the Moses and Aaron, and then in the rock in the water? No. Okay, cool. So if you're just joining us, um, if you're just joining us, we have let me see. I'm gonna give you the rundown the numbers again as far as what we're talking about today. That was the first thing we're talking about. First point we're talking about today. Today's topic is about disobedience and blessings. Um, so we got when we just talked about, which is Numbers 20, chapter 20, verse 1 through 13, about Moses. Then we have Deuteronomy chapter 28, blessings and disobedience of Israel. We also have Jonah, Jonah 1, right? I call that one. Have you ever been swallowed up? Then we got in Ephesians
Oh,
5,
nah.
walk in love, walk in light, and walk in wisdom. And we have Genesis 38, story of Onan. All right. So that's the topics of the day. So the next one we're going to talk about is Deuteronomy 28, blessings and disobedience of Israel. Okay. Let me get that pulled up for you real quick so we can get into that. But how y'all doing today? Everybody's good? Hope everybody's having a lovely day. You know, it's not too warm up here where I'm at. I'm at home right now, but you know.
Are you home, fool?
Yeah, I'm home right now. Yep.
I can't wait till I can say I can go home.
Shoot, man, yeah, you'll be there soon. Shoot, you know, everybody, we all get to go home eventually. I ain't talking about that home either, but you know what I'm talking about. Let me see. All right, let me get this one. Here we go.
Yeah, I like it out here in Tennessee so far.
Oh, Tennessee? Yeah, in Tennessee. It's warm down there, ain't it? Or is it cold?
It's warm right now.
It's warm right now? That's good. Yeah, up here it's like 50 degrees outside, man. It's cold up here, man. And cold Buffalo.
It just sucks that God don't really appear how he used to. You don't see him at all. You might hear about him, see him, but he don't really appear how he used to. It's too much technology or too much sin on earth. I don't know where he is.
I know
he's watching, you know what I'm saying? Oh. Nah, because back then he used to appear to Moses, Abraham. He came to donkeys, goats, water, rocks, fire, lion. He came through so many different stuff. Nowadays, you don't see it. Like, you don't really hear too many testimonies about him appearing. You may hear somebody get in a severe car accident and they seen a person who may have like said a word to them and then they disappeared. And then, you know, the Bible say you may have entertained a stranger, so that's why you always be nice to strangers, because you may be entertaining an angel. But to know that God himself be appearing nowadays is kind of, in my experience, I don't know about anyone else here, I don't really know God appearing much except for like keeping me alive, I guess keeping certain evil forces away from me. I know he's alive in that aspect, but like, is he going to appear to me in this tree behind me because I'm being disobedient or being obedient? I can't say yes or no. So it just sucks he don't come around no more.
Well, you know, the thing about it is, you know,
I don't understand why he took his presence away from us.
Well, that's because people have been, look around you. I mean, people been acting up out here in this world. And it's not because, you know, everybody's acting up, because some people are doing the right thing, but I mean, it might be far and few between. He appears when he needs to appear, right? So, you know, he on his time, you know, and at the end of the day, you know, he gonna come to you when he wants to come to you, when he feels like he needs to come to you. For me, when he came to me, it was you know, it was pretty you know, at a time where I was lost, and you know, at that time when he came to me, I was like, okay, you know, it was shocking because I thought he started talking to people too. You know what I mean? Because in the Bible it talks about how he started talking to people, whatever, once they fell from grace and everything. But then sometimes he'll come back, and then the question is when. And he only comes back when he wants, because at the end of the day, if you read the parable where, you know, he talked about the sheep, you know, he rejoices when he comes to get his sheep that's lost. You know, even though he has 99 sheep over here, that one sheep that went away into the mountains, he would go and search for that one sheep. And when he gets that sheep, he would rejoice in happiness because he got that one sheep that was lost and bring that sheep back to the flock. So he don't want, let me make something clear, and this is something Jesus said himself. He said he don't want to lose nobody. He don't want to lose you, me, her, anybody. He don't want to lose none of us. But some people have in their hearts, it's hardened like Pharaoh's. And for them people, ain't nothing you can do. But for the ones that are trying or maybe not doing the right thing, but they just don't know how to do the right thing, or they're not really got that motivation to do the right thing, that are lost, we come to you, he might have come to you directly. He might send somebody else to come to you. He might even, you know, like you said, a stranger or something. Somebody even know. He'll send them to you. See what you do. He might talk to a tree no more. That's kind of weird. You know what I'm saying? He might talk to a donkey no more. you know, or some other thing, or you know, but he might send a person, right? Because it's a new day and age, you know. I'm not saying he can't do that
Yeah.
still, of course, but I think sending a person is probably better because especially somebody you don't know or know, you know what I mean? Because it should have more effect probably to you send somebody that you actually know or you're around. Your boy is something that used to do you hustle with or something that you know used to be out there doing wilding out, and now all of a sudden he coming you talking about, man, listen, the Lord came to me. And you like, wait a minute, you of our people, killer Trey now. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, that would be something interesting, like somebody coming to you that you know was on the wrong path and now they're on the right path now. You know, and you're like, how did this happen? And it can't be nothing but God, because God ain't gonna do nothing evil. Okay, only the devil is evil continually. Okay, God don't do no evil. You know what I'm saying? Everything he do is just. So that's why if he didn't come to you as that way, maybe he just didn't come to you yet this moment. Or maybe you don't need to. Maybe you're already on the right path. You don't need to come to you. Sometimes he don't got to come to you like that, directly like that. You know, where he got to talk to you directly. You know, what I mean, I'm glad he talked to me directly because I needed that. You know what I mean? Because I was wilding out. But I'm glad he did. You know what I mean? So it just depends on how he feels, and he might not come to everybody. He might not come to the people that's righteous. The people that's righteous, you know, he ain't trying to just save people that's righteous only because he know they doing the right thing. Okay, what about people that's not doing the right thing? That's what he really want to focus on. He focus on people that's not doing the right thing more so than anything because they're the ones he want to save because they need it more than anybody. They lost. You see what I'm saying? So that's probably why. It talks about that in the Bible as well. You look at my other episodes, you know what I'm saying, you'll see that's why I record these things now. So it's all, you know, documented. So you can go back and look at the other ones. So when you get a chance, check the other one out. I'll talk about that in detail. But yeah, so we're going this one right here, Deuteronomy 28. Okay, chapter 28. Blessings blessings and obedience. It says here. Now it shall come to pass if you diligently obey the voice of the Lord your God to observe carefully all his commandments, which I have commanded you today, that the Lord your God will set you high above all nations of the earth, and all these blessings shall come upon you and overtake you, because you obey the voice of the Lord your God. Okay, and then it talks about here like a little, I don't know if it's a prayer, but it looks like it's a prayer a little bit. It said, blessed shall you be in the city, and blessed you shall be in the country. Blessed shall be the fruit of your body, the produce of your ground, and the increase of your herds, the increase of your cattle, and the offspring of your flocks. Blessed shall be your basket and your kneading bowl. Blessed shall you be when you come in, and blessed shall you be when you go out. The Lord will cause your enemies who rise against you to be defeated before your face. They shall come out against you one way and flee before you seven ways. The Lord will command the blessing on you in your storehouses and all in which you set your hand. And he will bless you in the land which the Lord your God is giving you. The Lord will establish you as a holy people to himself, just as he has sworn to you. If you keep the commandments of the Lord your God and walk in his ways, then all peoples of the earth shall see that you are called by the name of the Lord, and they shall be afraid of you. And the Lord will grant you plenty of goods, and the fruit of your body, and the increase of your livestock, and in the produce of your ground, in the land of which the Lord swore to your fathers to give you. The Lord will open to you his good treasure, the heavens, to give the rain to your land in its season, and to bless all the work of your hand. You shall lend to many nations, but you shall not borrow. And the Lord will make you the head and not the tail. You shall be above only and not beneath. If you heed the commandments of the Lord your God, which I command you today, and are careful to observe them, You shall not turn aside from any of the words which I command you this day, to the right or the left, to go after other gods to serve them. Okay? Curses of disobedience. So that was the blessings. Okay? Let's talk about the disobedience now. Okay? But it shall come to pass, if you do not obey the voice of the Lord your God, to observe carefully all his commandments and his statutes, which I command you today, that all these curses will come upon you and overtake you. Curse shall be you in the city, and curse you shall be in the country. Curse shall you be in your basket, in your kneading bowl. Curse shall be the fruit of your body and the produce of the land, the increase of your cattle and offspring and your flock. Curse shall be you when you come in, and curse shall be you when you go out. The Lord will send you cursing, confusion, and rebuke you in all that you set your hand to do, until you are destroyed and until you perish quickly, because of the wickedness of your doings in which you have forsaken me. The Lord will make the plague cling to you until he has consumed you from the land which you are going to possess. The Lord will strike you with consumption, with fever, with inflammation. Hold on a second. Inflammation? Shoot. With severe burning, fever, with the sword, with scorching, with mildew. They shall pursue you until you perish. And your heavens, which are over your head, shall be bronze. Wow. And the earth, which is under you, shall be iron. The Lord will change the rain of your land into powder and dust. From the heaven, it shall come down on you until you are destroyed. Wow. The Lord will cause you to be defeated by your enemies. You should go one way against, and they will, and them, and they'll flee 7 ways before them. And you shall become troublesome to all the kingdoms of the earth. Your carcasses shall be food for the birds and of the air and the beasts of the earth, and no one shall fright them away. The Lord will strike you with the boils of Egypt, with tumors, with the scab, and with the itch, from which you cannot be healed. Wow. The Lord will strike you with madness and blindness and confusion of heart. And you shall grope at noonday as a blind man gropes in darkness. You shall not prosper in your ways. You shall be only oppressed and plundered continually, and no one shall save you. You shall be brothel. You shall brothel. Hold on, my bad. You shall betroth a wife, but another man shall lie with her. You shall build a house, but you shall not dwell in it. You shall plant a vineyard, but shall not gather its grapes. Your ox shall be slaughtered before your eyes, but you shall not eat of it. Your donkey shall be violently taken away from before you, and you shall not be restored to you. Your sheep shall be given to your enemies. You shall not have no one to rescue them. Your sons and daughters shall be given to other people, and your eyes shall look and fail. Your eyes shall look and fail, with longing for them all day long, and there shall be no strength in your hand. A nation from whom you have not known shall eat the fruit of your land and the produce of your labor, and you shall be only oppressed and crushed continually. So you shall be driven mad, because in the sight of your eye, which your eyes see, the Lord will strike you in the knees and on the legs with severe boils which cannot be healed, and from the sole of your feet to the top of your head. Okay? The Lord will bring you and the king whom you set over you to a nation which neither you nor your fathers have known. And there you shall serve other gods, wood and stone, and you shall become an astonishment, a proverb, and a byword among all nations where the Lord will drive you. You shall carry much seed out of the field, but gather little in, for the locust shall come and consume it. You shall plant vineyards and tend them, but you shall not either drink of the wine nor gather the grapes, for the worm shall eat it. You shall have olive trees throughout all your territory, but you shall not anoint yourself with the oil, for your olives shall drop off. You shall beget sons and daughters, but they shall not be yours. For they shall go into captivity. Locusts shall consume all your trees and produce produce of your land. The alien who is among you shall rise higher and higher above you, and you shall come down lower and lower. He shall lend to you, but you shall not lend to him. He shall be the head, and you shall be the tail. Moreover, all these curses shall come upon you and pursue and overtake you until you are destroyed, because you did not obey the voice of the Lord your God to keep his commandments and statutes which he commanded you. And they shall be upon you for a sign and a wonder, and on your descendants forever, because you did not serve the Lord your God with joy and gladness of heart for the abundance of everything. Therefore you shall serve your enemies. From the Lord will send against you in hunger and thirst and nakedness and in need of everything. And he will put a yoke of iron on your neck. Come on. Until he has destroyed you. The Lord will bring a nation against you from afar, from the end of the earth, as swift as the eagle flies. A nation whose language you will not understand. A nation of fierce countenance, which does not respect the elderly nor show favor to the young. And they shall eat the increase of your livestock and produce of your land until you are destroyed. They should not leave you grain or new wine or oil, or the increase of your cattle or the offspring of your flock until they have destroyed you. All right. I think we get the point here, right? I mean, it's a lot. It's a lot. And I just want to go say this right here that, this little sidebar before we even continue this a little more further. It's like he's talking about slavery. Maybe I could be wrong, but this sounds like he's talking about us a little bit. I'm just being honest here. It sounds like it's something like, we didn't do right, and then we in a situation right now where it's like this is stuff, because this sounds like he's an iron around your neck. I mean, come on. They hasn't changed, right? We were taken over by a foreign group of people, okay, brought to different lands and, treated unfairly. And, we were tilling the land, and we only got a little bit of crops, if any, livestock. Got the worst piece of meats. My family's from the South, by the way. They're from North Carolina and Georgia. So, I grew up, I ate some chitlins before, you know what I'm saying? Cornbread and greens and all that. But that's not really food. That's not the best part of a pig. Now I eat pork no more. I've eaten pork in over 20 years, but the pork loin and the other parts of the pig will be considered, the meat. Chitlins? I don't know if y'all chitterlings or what do you want to call it? That's in pig intestines. Okay? You washing basically pig intestines and feces and boiling it and trying to make it taste good. A little hot sauce. So we may do with it, of course, over generations, for 400 plus years. But just to think about that, what he's saying here, how we gonna get pretty much by not listening to what he said to do, they shall besiege you at all your gates until your high and fortified walls, in which you trust, come down throughout the land, and they shall besiege you of all your gates throughout all the land which the Lord your God has given you. You shall eat the fruit of your own body, the flesh of your sons and daughters, whom the Lord God has given you. Wow. In the siege and desperate straits in which your enemies shall distress you, the sensitive and very refined man among you will be hostile towards your brother, towards your wife of his bosom, and toward the rest of his children whom he leaves behind, so that he will not give any of them the flesh of his children whom he will eat, because he has nothing left in the siege and desperate straits in which the enemy shall distress you at all your gates. Man. The tender and delicate woman among you, who would not venture to set the sole of her foot on the ground because of her delicateness and sensitivity, will refuse to the husband of her bosom, and to her son and her daughter, her placenta, which comes out from between her feet, and her children whom she bears, for she will eat them secretly for lack of everything in the siege of desperate straits in which your enemies shall distress you at all your gates. That's different right there. I never heard that before. If you do not carefully observe all the words of this law that are written in this book, that you may fear this glorious and awesome name, the Lord your God, then the Lord will bring upon you and your descendants extraordinary plagues, great and prolonged plagues. COVID-19, just saying, we got bird flu, swine flu. I mean, come on, we can go into that, not to go off the subject, but we're gonna keep it on there. Moreover, he will bring back on you all the diseases of Egypt, of which you were afraid, and they shall cling to you. Also, every sickness and every plague which is not written in this book of the law will the Lord bring upon you until you are destroyed. You shall be left few in number, whereas you were at the stars in heaven in multitude, because you will not obey the voice of the Lord your God. And it shall be that just as the Lord rejoiced over you to do you good and multiply you, so the Lord will rejoice over you to destroy you and bring you to nothing. And you shall be plucked from off the land which you go to possess. Okay, this is the last part right here, y'all. You ready? It's a long one. Then the Lord will scatter you among all peoples, from one end of the earth to the other, and there you shall serve other gods, which neither you nor your fathers have known, wood and stone. And among those nations you shall find no rest, nor shall nor shall the sole of your foot have a resting place, but the Lord will give you a trembling heart, failing eyes, and anguish of soul. Your life shall hang in doubt before you. You shall fear day and night, and have no assurance of life. In the morning you shall say, "Oh, that it were evening." And at evening you shall say, "Oh, that it were night," because of the fear of which terrifies your heart, and because of the sight on which your eyes see. And the Lord will take you back to Egypt in ships, by the way of which I say to you, you should never see again. And there you shall be offered for sale to your enemies as male and female slaves, but no one will buy you. I gotta sit back for that one, y'all. I gotta sit back for that one. That's the one right there. That's the one. That's the one. Yeah, that's the one right there. You got anything to say about that, y'all? Anybody got any opinions on that one? Deuteronomy 28? No? Just checking. Just checking. Wow. Yeah. Yeah, that's the one. That's the one right there. Yeah, that's the one. I feel like a lot of that has to do with what happened to people, including us. A lot of Black people that, the people that have been have a history of a family member that have been enslaved into whether the islands or America or Brazil or anywhere on this continent, or anywhere in general. But specifically, I think he's talking that has a lot to do with what's going on right now in this world as far as the last past, hundreds of years in America too, especially because we went through a lot of that stuff already. And this is what happens when you're blessed. Your life is going to be great. You get the abundance of everything. Everything you wanted, you're going to have. You're going to be favored among the nations. You're going to have to borrow no money from nobody. Okay? You're going to have everything you need. But if you are disobedient, All those things he just named can happen to you. All those things. You're losing everything. You're going to be working with somebody else. Your job, your business you had is gone. All because you didn't listen. Mm-mm-mm. All because you did not listen, and keep his commandments and statutes and judgments. I don't want to deal with that at all. Shout out to my ancestors that had to deal with that. Because I know they did. But hopefully that's over with. Hopefully that stops with me and my family right now. Hopefully we can turn that page to something different. We can get that abundance back again. We can get those blessings again, because disobedience is not it. That's not it. That's what I would say about that. That's not it. Yeah, that's not it. Yeah. So I don't know if you have anything you want to say about that one. If you don't, that was Deuteronomy 28, chapter 28, the whole chapter. Okay. And I think you get a lot from that. There's a lot I can say about that, but it's so much I can say about that, actually, and it's probably too much to say about that. So I'm not going to stay on that too long. I'm going to go to the next one, because you don't want to stay too long on certain things, but we got a lot to cover today. But this whole thing is about disobedience, really, pretty much, and blessings. And in that situation, that we got both. Okay, so what's the topic of today is about. What happens if you don't do what he tell you to do? What happens if you think you can do what you want to do? Yeah, you got free will. You can do what you want to do. You ain't gotta listen. But when you don't listen, what happens? What happens when you don't listen? All right. So let's go to the next one. The next subject we're gonna talk about. Yeah, that was a deep one right there, man. Yeah, that had me feeling some type of way right there. I ain't gonna hold you. Let's talk about Jonah. Okay. Let's talk about your boy Jonah. He was disobedient. I didn't even know he was disobedient really like that. I kind of skipped over that part. I must have skipped over that part before. But I didn't know. I didn't know that he was. And that's the thing about that is he was disobedient. So we're gonna talk about what Jonah did. That's the one that got swallowed by the whale, right? Because I guess he tried to, and the thing about it is with him, I don't understand why he even how he even got into that position. Like what made him possess him to get to the point where he got swallowed by the whale. We're gonna read about it though. Once his computer started acting up on me because it was doing let's see. Hold on a second, y'all. Give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah, so yes, the Jonah 1. All right. Here we go. All right. So Jonah 1, chapter 1, verse 1. Now the word of the Lord came to Jonah, son of Amittai, saying, arise, go to Nineveh, the great city, and cry out against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah arose to flee. So that's what he did. Okay, so God told him to go to Nineveh, okay, that great city, and cry against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. But Jonah arose to flee to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. He went down to Joppa, okay, instead, and found a ship going to Tarshish. So he paid the fare and went down into it to go with them to Tarshish from the presence of the Lord. That's what he did wrong. God told him to do something, and he was scared to do it, or he didn't want to do it. Okay? Instead of doing what God wanted him to do, he ran and went to a ship to get away from God, to do what God told him to do. I don't know if he was afraid, what he heard or something, but regardless of the situation, he fled and left and got on a ship to get away from God. You got on a ship, what's wrong with this boy? You know what I'm saying? Like, he told you to do something, and you saying, oh, no, I'm not doing none of that. I'm out of here. And you should run from the Lord? All right. So, but the Lord sent out a great wind on the sea, and there was a mighty tempest on the sea, so that the ship was about to be broken up. Then the mariners were afraid, and every man cried out to his God, and threw the cargo that was in the ship into the sea to lighten the load. But Jonah had gone down to the lowest parts of the ship and had lain down and was fast asleep. So the captain came to him and said to him, "What do you mean, sleeper? Arise, call on your God. Perhaps your God will consider us so that we may not perish." And they said to another man, "Come, let us cast lots, that we may know for whose cause this trouble has come upon us." So they cast lots, and a lot fell on Jonah. Then they said to him, "Please tell us, for whose cause is this trouble upon us? What is your occupation? And where do you come from? What is your country? And of what people are you?" Okay, that's a lot of questions. So he said to them, "I am a Hebrew, and I fear the Lord, the God of heaven, who made the sea and the dry land." Then the men were exceedingly afraid and said to him, "Why have you done this?" For the men knew that he fled from the presence of the Lord, because he had told them. Then they said to him, "What shall we do to you that the sea may be calm for us?" For the seas was growing more temptatious. Not temptation. What's it? It's temptations. Yeah, that's temptations. Okay. And he said to them, "Pick me up and throw me into the sea, for the sea will become calm for you. For I know that this great tempest is because of me." Oh, he took one for the team, right? Nevertheless, the men rowed hard to return to land, but they could not, for the sea continued to grow more temptatious, or temptuous, tempestuous. All right, against them. Therefore, they cried out to the Lord and said, "We pray, O Lord, please do not let us perish for this man's life, and do not charge us with innocent blood. For you, O Lord, have done as it please you." So they picked up Jonah and threw him into the sea, and the sea ceased from its raging. Then the men feared the Lord exceedingly and offered a sacrifice to the Lord and took vows. All right. Now the Lord had prepared a great fish to swallow Jonah, and Jonah was in the belly of the fish for 3 days and 3 nights. That's the story of Jonah, y'all. That's the story of Jonah. He was in there for 3 days, 3 nights inside of a belly of a whale or a big fish. Okay. I remember back in the day we used to sing that song in church. Like, I forgot how it went, but like something about in the belly of the whale, something about Jonah's, something I forgot how it went, but basically, yeah, this was something I remember, man. And I remember the story, and I was like, well, I never really got too deep into why he got, in trouble. Because there's a lot of stories about different things in the Bible, but this one stuck out to me. Because let's go back to the beginning. He just told him to go and cried against the great city, Nineveh. Okay, cried against it, for their wickedness has come up before me. So he's saying, God's saying, what they doing right now is on my radar now, and I see what they're doing, and I don't like it. So go out there and tell them, cry to them, tell them to stop doing what they're doing. You know what I mean? Because they really piss me off. They're doing something they should be doing. And when he does that, okay, when he does that, Jonah decided to leave and go into, he decided to leave, get on a boat, pay a fare to get on a boat and skip town instead of going to where God told him to go. He told you where to go. And you want to go over there. When he told you to go over here. Yeah, come on now. He told you where to go. He told you. And Jonah didn't want to listen. I don't know why Jonah didn't want to listen, but whatever reason, Jonah said, I'm not going over there. And tell them nothing. Instead, he goes, instead of going over there to the city God told him to go to, he goes in a boat and try to skip town and leave and go to another city. Okay? To get away from God, to escape God, like he can get away from God. You can't get away from God. What's wrong with you? You can't get away from God. He's everywhere and in everything. He's in the sea. He's in the land. He's in that goat. He's in that cow. He's in that bird in the sky. He's in that bear. He everywhere. So you're not getting away from God, right? And basically, because of that, Jonah, they had to cast him over the boat into the ocean, man. They had to cast him over the boat into the ocean, where he was swallowed up by a big fish. Okay. And I don't know how many big fishes, but it was a big fish. So I'm gonna assume it was something like a whale or a great white or some type of big old fish. It wasn't no small fish, I'll tell you that. Because if you get swallowed a whole human being up in there, you gotta be a big fish. You need some room in that thing, probably, right? But 3 days, not 1 day, not 2 days, but 3 days, 3 nights, okay? And then the fish spitting back out on shore somewhere. This is why you gotta listen when God tell you to do something, man. God tell you to do something, just do it. Don't hesitate. Do what he say do. I don't care what if he tell you don't talk to that person no more, don't talk to them no more. If you say to cut that person off, cut their ass off. Look at me. Cut them off. If he tell you don't go to that party, don't go to that party. Whatever he tell you to do, don't do it. Because if you don't do it, we already know what's gonna happen. It's gonna be bad for you. No matter how you slice that pie, it's gonna be bad for you. See, my life right now, I'm blessed right now. Okay, my life is growing great right now. You know why? Because I'm doing whatever he tells me to do. If he tell me don't do it, I'm not gonna do it. He said don't talk to her, I'm not gonna talk to her. If God tell me, yo, give this $10, the last $10 you got to this homeless man, I'm giving it to him. You understand? I'm gonna give him the $10. You understand me? I'm giving that money. If he say, hey, go and talk to that person that you don't like, you ain't talking to them for 10 years. You don't like them. You don't mess with that person at all. He say, forgive him. I'm gonna forgive him. What he did? He did some craziness. He could have shot my family member or something. I'm gonna forgive him. If God tell me to do it. If God tell me to do it, I'm gonna do it. Do you understand me? And I had a conversation with somebody, my family members, and it was like, yo, why are you going to talk to that person? That person did this and did that, and said this, said that. And I said, you know what? Let me tell you something. I don't care how you feel about me saying this to that person. I don't care how you feel about me, saying something to that person. I'm going to make amends because God want me to make amends. If he tell me let that go in the past, I'm letting that go. If you tell me, yo, don't let it go, I'm not gonna let it go. If you tell me to tell that person, you know, some other stuff or whatever it might, whatever you tell me to do, I'm gonna do it. Just get that straight, whatever it might be. Sister, why did you call me right now? This ain't the time. Hold on a second, y'all. Okay, there we go. But yeah, so that's how I feel about that. Yeah, so let's get to the next thing right here. Yeah, let's get to the next one. So we're gonna talk about Ephesians, okay? Ephesians 5. Okay, Ephesians 5. We almost done here, y'all. It's about walking in love. Okay, to walk in love. Therefore, be imitators of God as dear children and walk in love. And Christ also has loved us as Christ also has loved us. Okay. Oh yeah, what's going on, Zach?
What's up?
Hold on a second, y'all. What's going on,
Hey.
brother? Give me 1 second. Hold on.
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah.
There we go. Okay, so I know you probably just joining us. So yeah,
Yes.
we had a couple things that got going on, but to give you a brief recap real quick. The 3 chapters that we got. Hold on a second. The 3 chapters we got. Well, not 3 chapters. My bad. I'm talking about the topic of discussion in scriptures today. Talking about is disobedience, and obedience. Okay. So basically, in blessings of that, and also curses of that. So mostly about disobedience today. You know, what happens if you disobey God? That's what today's about. What happens if you disobey God? And we talked about Moses, Numbers 21 through 13. So chapter 21 to 13 of Numbers. Okay, that's the book. Deuteronomy 28. We talk about blessings and disobedience of Israel. Then we just finished up talking about Jonah.
Okay.
One more second, y'all. Okay. Send a message real quick. All right. We talk about Jonah, the one that got swallowed by the whale. We just finished up talking about him. That was interesting. Why he got swallowed up, and I can talk about that real quick. That the one Deuteronomy 28. That's a deep one. You got to read that one because that pretty much deals with us. You know what I mean? That deals with us that's in Haiti and America and Jamaica and all the islands and all that stuff like that. Does with like a lot of us. I think that for real talks to us. That's pretty much about slavery, pretty much almost, and all the curses and things that happened to us for the past 400, 500 years. So that one is pretty deep, in Brazil and other places in Central America and South America. But the part that gets me with Jonah, all God told him to do was go to the city and cry against them, because they're doing wickedness and he don't like it. And it's come to his attention that, they're doing wickedness basically. And then he doesn't like that. Go to them and complain to them and tell them, stop doing what they're doing, pretty much. And this dude, instead of doing what God told him to do, he goes and runs and gets in a boat, pays to get in a boat, try to run away from God. Instead of going to that city, he tried to go to another city. So instead of listening to what God told him to do, he want to run away and go to another city. Okay. And go to another city to get away from what God told him to do. Basically wanted to be, he didn't want to do it. So he tried to leave and try to think he escape God. And God is everywhere and everything. So how are you gonna escape? How are you gonna escape God? What kind of what I know what he was thinking. I know what he was thinking. He tripping. But he thought he can escape God. And that's how he got swallowed by the whale, because the waters we got in the boat, the waters got crazy, you know, and the waves is crazy, and then the boat about to tip over and break and all kinds of stuff. And people were like, what's going on? They started praying their gods, but whatever God they're praying to, it wasn't working. And then they were like, yo, who's the person who did this? So he cast some lots, right? I guess they must have did some type of spell or something to see what God is the one that's causing these problems. And then they come to find out that it was his God, Jonah's. And he was in the thing sleeping down at the very bottom of the boat, at a big old, you know, ship, whatever. And they went down there and got him like, wake up, wake yourself up, man. Like, yo, is you the cause of this problem? Like, where you from? Who you with? What God you believe in? You know what I'm saying? Because we need help up here. And he like, my name is Jonah. I'm from this place. You know, my God is the Lord of God of the seas and the land and blah, blah, blah. But he was kind of like saying like, you know, basically, yeah, that's me. I'm this person. I'm a Hebrew. And they was like, well, we need you to go and pray to him and tell this to stop. Because our God isn't listening. So we need you to fix this right here. And he like, well, the only way we're gonna fix it is pretty much, he told him what happened, what he didn't do, which is listen to God when God told me to do something. And then now he getting cursed for it pretty much. So the only way you're gonna fix this is throw me off the boat. And at first it was like trying to pray to God and ask him, instead of them throwing him off the boat, because that would kill him. You know what I mean? Can we just, you know, can we ask for forgiveness? And God was like, nah, pretty much. And it got even worse. So they, you know, so we got to throw him off the boat. So they tossed him in the boat. Tossed him off the boat into the sea. And then that's when a big fish, maybe something like a whale or a great white or some type of big fish, you know, that could fit a human being inside of it, came and picked him and swallowed him whole. And he was in there for 3 days and 3 nights, okay? And just imagine being inside of a fish belly for 3 days and 3 nights.
Yeah.
That's wild. But yeah, so that's pretty much the story of him. So that he disobeyed, you know, he was being disobedient, man. And this is what it gets you. You get swallowed by a whole big old fish and be sitting on a boat somewhere for 3 days, 3 nights inside of a belly of a fish. You probably stunk all kinds of things up in there. Who knows what it smells like? I know fish smell one thing, but being inside of a fish, they got probably fish in it. In the stomach of it too. That's probably a foul smell of fish. That's probably some stinkiest fish you could ever think of. Anyway, point I'm trying to say is that's what happened to Jonah. He didn't listen. That's why he did disobey God, and he didn't try to do what he was supposed to do, because God told him to do something, he didn't want to do it, and therefore look what happened to him. Moses, God told him to speak to the rock so water can come out. As they got to the land of Egypt, it was in the desert. They had no water. Okay. And instead of him just speaking to the rock and letting water come out, like God told him to do it, he gonna make a scene and knock a rock twice. You know what I'm saying? Trying to like make it like dramatic, and you know, that's what God told him to do. He told him simple, to speak to the rock and tell the water come out, so water gonna come out. But he didn't do that. Instead, he hit the rock twice, struck it with his rod, and God punished him by saying, you can't go to the promised land now. Yeah. You know what? Aaron, you can go ahead and take them to the promised land. That was his understudy. You know what I mean? That was his like right-hand man. But Aaron, he said, no, you can take him to the promised land, but Moses, you gotta stay behind. You cannot go into the land with them. And Moses stayed on that land, in that area, until he was taken up by God on a mountain of, I think it was a mount, one of the mountains, there's a mountain, the mountain he was on, they went up to, and that was that. But yeah, Aaron took the people into the promised land. That's wild, ain't it? So not listening to what God tell you to do will get you in trouble. And I give my own story about, you know, I told you as well, you know, when I got back to Buffalo, right? When I got back home and God told me to go and see somebody, right? And tell them what I'm supposed to tell him, and I told him.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't hesitate because, like I said, I already knew that one thing. I read these stories before about Jonah and about Moses not knocking the rock twice when he's not supposed to, and other stories like that, right? And what happens when you disobey God? So I did it immediately, and I didn't know that person. So I talked about that earlier today in this clip about how when God came to me and told me to do something, I did it immediately. I didn't hesitate at all.
Yeah.
I ain't hesitated not 1 second. So yeah, that's what I was talking about pretty much there. Now let me see where we at now. We are on Ephesians 5, okay? That's where we're at now. That's what we're talking about at this very moment. Ephesians 5. All right. Verse 1. All right. We're talking about 3 things here: walk in love, walking in light, and walking in wisdom. Okay. It says, therefore be
What the first one? What is the first one?
Oh, walk in love,
And love. Okay.
walk in light, and walk in wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
That's what
Okay.
this whole thing is about. Because we're talking about obedience, and we're talking about disobedience as well. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens if you don't obey and you're not obedient as well? So that's what this whole topic is about today, is about those 2 things. It says, therefore be imitators of God as dear children, and walk in love, as Christ also has loved us and given himself for us, an offering and a sacrifice to God for a sweet smelling aroma. But fornication and all uncleanliness or covetousness, let it not even be named among you, as is fitting for saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor coarse jesting, which are not fitting, but rather giving of thanks. For this you know, that no fornicator, unclean person, nor covetous man who is an idler has any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and God. Let no one deceive you with empty words. For because of these things, the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience. Therefore, do not be partakers with them. Okay. Any questions about that?
No.
Okay. You understand what he's saying there pretty much, right? Do not be a fornicator, unclean person, covetous, covet somebody else's wife or sister, or anything like that, whatever, without permission or anything like that. Don't be an idler. Don't be worshiping idols. Other guys and things like that has
Mm-hmm.
any inheritance. You have no inheritance in the kingdom of God. Okay, Christ and God. So that means you're not getting in there in heaven or anything to do with them. And that's the thing, is what they're pretty much saying. Let no one deceive you with empty words. Okay, don't let nobody lie to you and tell you that you can be all that stuff and do all that stuff when you're doing all that stuff like that and living that way, and tell you that you can get into heaven. Some people be like, for example, I notice, people that's like, in the LGBT community and stuff, some of them be in
Mm-hmm.
church and they, will be like, yeah, well, I know God and God is my father too. And, basically they'll tell you or tell us, tell me, that, basically God gonna get them and make exception for them.
Mm-hmm.
But God said right here, you know what I mean? Fornication, all uncleanness, covetousness, let it not even be named among you, as is fitting for saints. Neither filthiness, nor foolish talking, nor coarse jesting, which are not fitting, but rather giving of thanks. Okay? And no fornicator, unclean person, nor covetous, nor idler has any inheritance in the kingdom of Christ and God. Let no one deceive you with empty words, for because of these things the wrath of God comes upon the sons of disobedience. Therefore, do not be partakers with them. All right, we can go to walking in light now. Okay. So this is walking in light. For you were once darkness, but now you are light in the Lord. Walk as children of light. For the fruit of the Spirit is in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, finding out what is acceptable to the Lord, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. Stop right there. Okay. And have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. That means if you know somebody doing some wild stuff and they ain't trying to change their ways, but they lying or whatever, acting like that, expose them. Yeah, expose them. And I ain't saying you got to expose them to a group of people, but expose them, tell them to their face. Like, bruh, you out here wilding. You out here, you know what I'm saying, sleeping with men, or you out here, you know what I'm saying, sleeping with 1,000 women, or you out here, you know, doing some wild, or giving people diseases, or whatever it might be. Cut it out. Because at the end of the day, you ain't gonna get you're not getting you know, you're not getting nowhere with God with that, you know, because the Spirit is in all goodness, righteousness, and truth, finding out what is acceptable to the Lord, and have no fellowship with the unfruitful works of darkness, but rather expose them. For it is shameful even to speak of those things which are done by them in secret. But all things that are exposed are made manifest by the light. For whatever makes manifest is light. Therefore he says, awake you who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. It says there, right there, for it is shameful even to speak of those things which are done by them in secret. But all things that are exposed are made manifest by the light. For whatever makes manifest is light. Therefore, he says, awake, you who sleep, arise from the dead, and Christ will give you light. Okay? So that means, you know, wake up from sleep, meaning wake up from, you know, wake up from the sleep, rise from the dead. So that means stop, you know, acting like you don't know what's going on. Okay? Come from that bad place, that darkness, and come to the light. I mean, change your ways, basically. Yeah. If you're doing something that's going to cause you to be part of God's grace and God's love, and you're walking in darkness, get out of that. Because if you don't get out of it, bad things are going to happen to you. You're not going to be able to get to what you want in life, which is what you want in life is you know, being happy and being loved by God. So if you ain't got that in life, you ain't got nothing. And then it'll show, because things will be taken away from you too. And you don't want things to be taken away from you. You know what I'm saying? Because that's when it gets hard. Okay, and the last thing is walk in wisdom, right? Walk in wisdom. All right. See that you do not walk circumspectly, not as fools, but as wise, redeeming the time, because the days are evil. Therefore, do not be unwise, but understand what the will of the Lord is, and do not be drunk with wine, in which is dissipation, but be filled with the Spirit, speaking to one another in psalms and hymns and spiritual songs, singing and making melody in your heart to the Lord, giving thanks always for all things to God the Father in the name of your Lord Jesus, submitting to one another in the fear of God. Come on, man. You understand that? That's pretty much, and again, he ain't asked for much. He actually just use common sense, really. You know what's good for you, what's bad for you. You know what you should do, what you shouldn't do. You know what's wise and something stupid. You know that. We old enough to realize that now at this stage and age. We have to have some type of understanding of that, some type of self-control. At this day and age, we got to be a little more wise, a little more reserved with things because we understand that he's watching us. He knows that what we're doing. He knows how we're feeling. So yeah, so that's important. So basically submitting to one another and fearing God. Yeah. So that's walking in wisdom right there. Okay. That is Ephesians 5, chapter 5, verse 1 through 21. Okay. If anybody wants to check that one out. And then we have the last one we're going to talk about here before we get up out of here. And this is Genesis 38. Okay. Genesis 38. We're going to talk about Onan. Okay. Onan. Yeah, Onan. Onan was well, we're going to talk about who Onan was, but Onan didn't listen either. He was disobedient as well. But what happened to Onan, he lost his life. Okay. Yeah, Onan died. Moses didn't die after he knocked in the rock twice. Jonah didn't die when he got swallowed by the whale. But this dude, God took him up out of here. He ain't listen. God took him up out of here, man. So we're gonna talk about him. This is Genesis 38.
How do you spell it, Onan?
Onan, Onan.
Oh, I didn't know these dudes.
Oh yeah, when you hear about Onan, it was all good until he didn't listen. But his listening, when God told him to do something, he didn't listen. But he didn't only listen. He did something that he was kind of foul with it a little bit too. Like it was a situation where he had to do this because it was very important for him to do it, and he didn't do it. And God struck him down right there. So we're gonna read about that one, okay?
Okay.
Genesis 38. Okay, Genesis 38, chapter 38. It came to pass at that time that Judah departed from his brothers and visited a certain Adullamite, whose name was Hira. And Judah saw there a daughter of a certain Canaanite whose name was Shua. And he married her and went into her. So she conceived and bore a son, and he called his name Er. She conceived again and bore a son, and she called his name Onan. And she conceived yet again and bore a son, and she called his name Shaleh. He was at Shezeb when she had him. Okay. Then Judah took a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. But Judah's firstborn, was wicked in the sight of the Lord, and the Lord killed him. And Judah said to Onan, "Go in to your brother's wife and marry her." Let me give you the backstory here. Was Judah's firstborn son, but he was wicked in the sight of the Lord. I mean, he was bad. Okay, so he was wilding out. He was doing too much. Okay, and God knew he was wicked, so he killed him. Okay, got him up out of here. Then Judah said to Onan, his other son, "Go into your brother's wife," meaning have sex with your brother's wife, and marry her. Okay, because God wanted him to have a baby by that woman, which is his first brother's wife, That was wicked. but he didn't have a kid with her, right? Didn't have a kid with her. So God told Judah to tell his son to go and sleep with her and make, because remember, death do you part. So even though it's your brother's wife, right? But when your brother's dead, she's no longer his wife. And at that point, she is a widow, which means that you can talk to her based off of God, the Bible, okay? If you have whoever, your friend or your neighbor or whoever it is, if they pass away, okay? If I pass away, all right? And I'm not saying, I'm just using this as an example. And my wife is single, and I'm gone. And you're a good man, and you say, hey, I want to talk to your wife. You can, because I'm gone. I'm dead. So marriage is as simple as this. Through sickness and health, rich or poor, better or worse, through death do you part. Meaning, once you die, you are no longer married. Therefore, since she's no longer married because I'm dead, you can talk to her. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Simple as that. So that's why he told him, because usually you can't do that. If he was alive, you can't talk to him. You see what I'm saying? But was dead. So Judah told him, his son, okay, Onan, to go and conceive or sleep with her and have a child, okay? And marry her, right? That's what he told his son. Okay. So it says here, let's see here. And Judah said to Onan, go into your brother's wife and marry her, and raise up an heir to your brother. But Onan knew that the heir would not be his. And it came to pass when he went into his brother's wife that he admitted on the ground. When it says he admitted, I think you might know what we're talking about. Well, let's keep it real. We got to talk about it in a real, because you got to know what admitted means. That means he shot out, after he, what I'm saying, he supposed to, give her a baby, but instead of giving a baby, he pulled out and let off on the ground. Okay? That's what he mean by admitted on the ground. All right? He pulled out. Okay? He said, I'm not knocking her up. Forget that. But he had sex with her, but he pulled out and then he on the ground, right? And said, lest he should give an heir to his brother. And the thing which he did displeased the Lord. Therefore, he killed him also. That's it. That's it right there, folks. Then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, remain a widow in your father's house until my son Shaleh is grown. For he said, lest he also died like his brothers. And Tamar went down and dwelt in her father's house. So that's not her original father now, mind you. Even though he's her father, it's not her original father because this is her stepfather. But you get my point here, okay? He had two sons. The one was bad, God got rid of him. The second son was not bad, but he didn't listen to God. And God told him to do something, he didn't do it. And because he had sex with her and didn't finish the job, God got rid of him. Okay? Yeah, he got rid of him. He struck him down right there. As soon as he pulled out on the ground with it, instead of in her, that was it. God killed him too, also. So, this is the problem. It ain't about what you want sometimes. Some people think that they get to make the decisions. Like they're running some stuff. You don't make the decisions. God make the decisions.
Yep.
And the sad part about that is some people really believe that they make the decisions here. They really believe that they're in charge of their own destiny. They really believe that they got the power to tell God no or yes. Not if he call on you. Not if you was chosen people. You can't just do what you want to do. No, you do what he tell you to do. That's why he blessed you. He blessed you for a reason. People don't understand that. They think that blessings come with nothing. No, he asked you to do something. He wants you to do something. Okay, then just do it. But problem is, people don't want to do it. They want to do what they want to do. Anything that back then, it was a little more stricter. And by being disobedient, hey, he would take you right out. You know, and he did for many people that disobeyed what he said to do.
Yeah.
And that's the whole point of this whole Bible study today, y'all, ladies and gentlemen. We talking about disobedience and what happens when you disobey, you know, God, the Father in heaven. What happens to you? You can get swallowed by a whale. You can get, you know, denied entry to the promised land. You can get enslaved into a foreign country like we did. Okay, being sent to Haiti and America and everywhere else, and being, you know, ruled by some wicked people. We could, we can, we can, you can get killed if you do something that God don't like for real. You might get struck down. You might die suddenly, instantly. So, you know, that is some of the things that can happen. And because of that, I would say the best thing to do is obey God's word. If he tells you to do something, then do it. That's what I would say. And it's just based on the scriptures, what we read today here, and we went over. That's what I would say is the best course of action. If God comes to you and tells you to do something, to do it. You know, because he ain't gonna tell you to do something, or not do something for no reason.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's pretty much. You got any questions about anything we talked about so far? You want to talk about any of this that we talked about? Anything?
No, so I just want to know the story of this dude, because I've heard of him.
Well, it's in it's Genesis, right? So Genesis, the first chapter or first book of the Bible, right? Written by Moses, and this is his
Is it
answers pretty much
Genesis?
in Genesis, yeah, chapter 38. So you go to Genesis chapter
Genesis
38.
1 in chapter 28.
No, chapter 38 in Genesis. I don't think there's more than one book in Genesis. Let me see to make sure. Let me see. I think it's only one Genesis though. Yeah, it's one Genesis. So it's just Genesis, chapter 38, 3:8. So that's the story we were just talking about right there in Genesis.
Okay.
So yeah, man.
I see it.
So that answers your question on that one as far as any questions
Yeah, it's
about?
okay.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so that's pretty much. We also got the other Bible studies I posted them recently. I'm gonna send them to you so you can have them as well. But yeah, this is episode 5. So we are episode 5 now. As far as you know, YouTube and Facebook and Twitter and everywhere else we're posting this at. So you can you know, look at it and look back on it as well anytime you want on YouTube, because it's on YouTube. It'll be posted literally in about another hour. So be looking for that at 4:00. If you look on YouTube and you type in you know, or hit this link, you will be able to see all the other YouTube videos to check out. They're all online now. So yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And I just got some podcast equipment too. So in a minute I have a microphone with sound effects and everything else. I just got that actually yesterday. So I'm gonna have a whole microphone set up and everything with the, you know, the lights and stuff. And yeah, I want to bore some of that stuff.
You said yesterday?
Yeah, I got my equipment yesterday. Yeah. Only thing I buy is another stand. But other than that, that's it.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, I'm gonna have, like I said, Bible study is gonna be every week, every Saturday. Every Sabbath, even though Sabbath starts on Friday night, but it ends on Saturday night. But I always do it on Saturday because I'm usually off on Saturday. So not next week, but the week after, I'm going to Jamaica. So I'm gonna be doing live in Jamaica when I'm in Jamaica. So that's gonna be interesting as well.
Oh, when we go?
Yeah, I got my ticket for Jamaica, so I'm going to Jamaica in what's that, on the 30th. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm going to Jamaica on the 30th. So yeah, definitely look for that video. That's gonna be an interesting one right there. That's in 2 weeks. Not next Friday, but Friday after that. And I'm being Jamaica, man. And yeah, we're gonna definitely shoot go from live from there. So we're gonna figure out some things to shoot from there, and make it a real interesting one because I'm gonna be on vacation for a couple days. So be look out for that one. But other than that, yeah, man, that's the story, man. We talked about today, man. That's what it's about, man. Disobedience and blessings and what happens when you listen and what happens when you don't listen. So check out those scriptures, man. Read them when you get a chance. All the ones I sent you. And pretty much you can pretty much go through those and see and read it for yourself and get an understanding of it and get a sharp understanding of what happened when you disobedient and what happens when you are obedient and you do what he says compared to when you don't. And we talked about both of those today. So yeah. It's important.
All right.
All right, man. You be safe out there, man. We're gonna end this Bible study today, man. It's good seeing you, Sag. I'm good seeing you.
All right.
All right, brother. Peace out.
All right, brother. All right.
All right. And that concludes Bible study for today, ladies and gentlemen. It's good talking to y'all. I will see you next Saturday for a whole new episode 6 of Bible study with KingCzol. Peace out.